Black comedy in America promises to cover a wide range of topics, starting with black sitcoms from the 70s, exploring the roots of the genre in the legendary Chitlin circuit, and paying homage to the trailblazers who paved the way for today's stars. Among those whose legacies loom large is the iconic Bernie Mac, revered not only for his comedic genius but also for his distinctive voice and raw, unfiltered style that left a lasting impression on audiences across the globe. Mac's story, however, carries a sense of melancholy, as his life was tragically cut short when he passed away at the age of 50 on August 9, 2008, due to complications from pneumonia. He had been battling the condition for weeks while hospitalized in his hometown of Chicago, but what many fans did not know at the time was that Mac had also been living with sarcoidosis, an inflammatory disease that ultimately played a significant role in his declining health. Sarcoidosis is a disease that causes growths of inflammatory cells in various organs, and in Mac's case, it particularly affected his lungs and immune system, placing tremendous strain on his body. Despite his enduring popularity and humor, his health challenges were slowly and painfully taking their toll. The resilient comedian, who made a career out of finding humor in life's hardships, faced his own private battle during his final years, a battle that is now being brought to light through this docuseries. In the years following his death, Mac's daughter, Janice McCullough, has become a powerful voice in preserving her father's legacy. As part of Black Comedy in America, she sat down with Haddish to reflect on her father's final years and his tremendous impact on the world of comedy. In a deeply emotional conversation, parts of which were shared in a promotional clip on social media ahead of the series premiere, McCullough revealed how Mac's health had been declining long before his eventual hospitalization. McCullough shared, "His health was failing for years before he finally got sick, so those last 4 years of his life, Mac had been placed on oxygen." The visual image of one of comedy's biggest personalities slowly being diminished by illness is heart-wrenching, but Mac, ever the professional, continued working up until the very end. During those last years, he filmed some of his final projects, including the last seasons of The Bernie Mac Show, as well as films like Madagascar, Soul Men, where he starred alongside Samuel L. Jackson, and Ocean's 13. For fans watching these performances, Mac's appearance might have seemed subtly altered. He appeared puffier than usual, a side effect of the steroids he was taking to manage his sarcoidosis. These treatments, while necessary to reduce the inflammation in his lungs, caused visible changes to his body, but the indomitable comedian never let it dampen his passion for his craft. Cullough went on to explain that Mac's sarcoidosis had ravaged his lungs to such a degree that his doctors were forced to consider more drastic measures. It had gotten so bad that his doctor was like, "You don't have to do it now, but we're going to have to consider a lung transplant," she recalled. Despite this grim prognosis, Mac continued to soldier on, determined to keep working, knowing full well that his time might be limited. By the time his illness reached its peak, Mac was operating with the capacity of just one lung, his body fighting an uphill battle to simply keep going. In his final days, the beloved comedian faced the inevitable with the same courage and tenacity that had defined his life. He was placed on a ventilator, struggling to breathe as his body could no longer cope with the damage caused by sarcoidosis. Cullough's candid revelations about her father's health struck a chord with many viewers who saw the clip on Instagram, particularly those who have had personal experience with sarcoidosis. One Instagram user commented, "The day I heard that Bernie died from sarcoidosis, I cried all day. I know the suffering he was going through." The sentiment was echoed by others who paid tribute to Mac's legacy, with many noting how his comedic genius had touched their lives. "In my opinion, he was and still is the king of comedy. I love me some Mac," wrote one passionate fan. Another user shared a more personal connection to the comedian's struggle, revealing that their own brother had died from the same illness. "Once I knew Bernie had sarcoidosis, it became apparent that he was working as hard as possible knowing that the end was coming. Good news, when my brother died, the nurse made a call to the local university about donating his body. The nurse assumed they would not want it, but the university was doing a study on sarcoidosis. They needed him. I know how tough it was on your dad," they wrote. In that moment, it became clear that Bernie Mac's battle with illness was something that resonated deeply with many, both for its raw humanity and for the strength it took for him to keep moving forward in the face of adversity. Max fans admired him not only for his comedic talent but also for the perseverance he showed in the most challenging moments of his life. However, not all responses to the docuseries have been entirely positive. A number of critics took issue with Haddish's involvement in the series, feeling that she was not the right choice to lead such an important exploration of black comedy. One critic wrote, "Gonna have to look out for this series. Not a Haddish fan, but I'll watch anyway," while another commented, "Having Tiffany do this was definitely a choice." Despite these criticisms, Haddish remains a polarizing figure in comedy, with her success and influence continuing to shape the landscape of black comedy in her own right. As the premiere date of black comedy in America approaches, anticipation continues to build, with fans eager to see the reunion of the original kings of comedy. Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hughley, comedy heavyweights who helped redefine the genre, will appear in the series to reflect on their respective careers and the legacy they created alongside Bernie Mac during their landmark comedy tour. For many fans, the reunion will be bittersweet, given the well-known rift that existed between Harvey and Mac at the time of the latter's passing. In the years since Mac's death, there have been persistent rumors and accusations that Harvey harbored jealousy toward his fellow comedian's career, something that fans have not easily forgiven or forgotten. Mac's rise to superstardom, particularly through the success of The Bernie Mac Show, positioned him as a standout even within the group, and tensions reportedly flared between him and Harvey. To this day, Harvey continues to face scrutiny from fans who feel that his strained relationship with Mac detracted from what could have been a more united front of comedic excellence. Despite these tensions, the upcoming docuseries presents a chance for reflection, healing, and a renewed appreciation for the groundbreaking work of black comedians. The original kings of comedy left an indelible mark on the industry, not just by showcasing the immense talent of black comedians but also by breaking down barriers and elevating black voices in a predominantly white-dominated field. Bernie Mac's untimely death may have cut his life short, but his influence continues to reverberate through the comedy world, inspiring new generations of comics to follow in his footsteps. As the docuseries delves into the history and legacy of black comedy, it also opens the door to conversations about representation, resilience, and the challenges that black comedians have faced, and continue to face, in an industry that has often marginalized their voices. From the early days of the Chitlin circuit, where black comedians performed in small, segregated venues, to the modern era of mainstream success, black comedians have had to navigate a complex landscape of racial politics, cultural expectations, and personal struggles. Well guys, what are your thoughts? Do tell us. Thanks for watching.